and welcome to Let's Talk Stupid. I'm Compound.
And I'm Proud, and today there are just two of us. And what is the topics today, Compound?
We're gonna be talking about names, but we're not calling you names, we're calling you ours.
Uh-huh.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Well, so we're gonna start off with like a little game as usual. So we're gonna tell you what our names mean because Thai names are very complicated. We have nicknames, we have real names, our surname, of course, and it sometimes can get a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
And our surname is really hard to pronounce
And it's
sometimes, right?
very long too. And there is no relationship between Thai nickname and Thai first name. You can be named anything. Many of my friends actually has nickname that is longer than their first name, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, literally. And also, we can literally name ourselves everything from, you know, Sherry. Sherry's normal, I guess, to what is the weirdest name you've ever heard? Weirdest nickname. Don't say compound.
Well, I've heard one person's name is Neutron.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It can get weird sometimes like that. You see, there's no relationship between neutron and a person. Literally no relationship. But we're human, we can draw lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we can create some meanings in it.
Well, I mean, to be honest, nicknames are supposed to be easier to say, right? Like you call that person by their nickname. It should be shorter and easier to pronounce. Right.
I'm not sure whether how nickname in Thailand comes into existence, but I've heard that in like King Rama VI, he established like a surname last name system, and people were very confused because their surname and their nickname are very different. Because surname was supposed to be pretty great, so they started to create nickname outside the universe of surname.
Huh? Okay.
I guess that's how it's come to be.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so let's start, shall we?
Sure.
Maybe you can go first, as usual.
Oh, fine. So, my first name is Munrada or Munrada, whatever. So it means to have a delighted heart or something along that line. To be happy. Uh-huh. Well, my nickname is Proud. It has both meaning in Thai and English. So in English, it means proud, obviously, proud. And in Thai, it is actually pronounced like prao, and it means like shining, and it's an adjective, yes, and it usually used to describe stars, I believe.
I see. So my real name is Farisa or Farisa, if you want to call it like internationally. I think it would be a better choice than compound to call me when I go abroad. But Farisa means rainy season because the day I was born, it was actually not exactly rainy season, but it was raining. So my parents were like,
Oh, you decide that they decided that on a whim, but oh yeah, Marisa, that's the name.
I don't know. I have to ask them again because I'm pretty sure that my parents are not like Bali experts who
Uh-huh.
can come up with any Bali word anytime.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure they have like names and stuff.
Oh.
But firstly, I was going to be born with a name that begins with the word Shak because I was born on the 5th of the 5th, which used to be like the coronation day of the king, and it was called Shak Mongkol in Thailand, right? So every kid that is born that day will be like Chatnari,
Oh my god.
Chatapon,
Oh my
I
god.
was fortunate because I don't want to have the name that begins with Chat.
Uh-huh. Okay. I think Chad is more like a boy's name than a girl's. I don't know.
I think it's lame. It's just that. And also my nickname compound. Actually, my parents wanted to be like compound in like chemical world in chemistry, right? So two things mixed into one thing, or maybe multiple things mixed into one thing. My parents mixed into one thing, which is me. Well, that is fair enough, but I've recently learned that compounding makes something worse, which is fine. I won't take that definition from you. But still, okay.
No, your name is like a noun. It's not a verb. Therefore, it's chemical compound, not that compound verb, I believe. So,
It can also mean an estate.
what?
Just estate. Compound. Like a building.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not so bad. Like you have strong foundation.
Thank you. Maybe if I go abroad, I have to think about a new name.
Yeah,
or
to be
so.
honest, my nickname is also very weird. When I meet people, I would say like, I'm proud, and they'll be like, proud of what?
Well, law. I guess that's it's not like we don't like the name that our parents have given us,
Yeah.
but it's sort of like we have to change it because it's confusing to a lot of people.
Yeah, it might be awkward or it might be a little weird, but yeah, I actually googled whether like other people in other country actually name their kids Proud. It was popular for a time, and then like the popularity immensely dropped. So I believe like no, there aren't many people who named Proud, like proud in this world. But in Thailand, it's quite popular because, as I've said, it has a meaning in Thai.
Oh yeah, talking about weird naming, I want to mention something before we move on to the next game. So I went on Reddit and searched weirdest name you've ever heard because I was curious. There were two results. I've searched it in Pundit and I've searched it in Reddit. In Pundit, I've seen the weirdest name ever. There's like a name called "Good Job, Happy Life,"
What the?
literally written
Oh yeah,
on the ID card.
the Thai ID
Good job,
card,
happy
right?
life. Yeah, I don't know whether if that's true or not. But in Reddit, they mentioned that the weirdest name they've ever come into encounter are the name that has porn in it. For example, porn, uh, Raya porn.
So here's the thing, pawn in Thailand means gift, but but some people like avoid using it as part of their name by like avoid that exact spelling. But yeah, our many of our teachers actually name something pawn.
I think so. It's up to interpretation, but when I don't think it's weird when I see it in some people's name because I've lived in Thailand. But I can understand foreigners feeling like, what?
No, oh yeah, true. But yeah, it's quite strange. That's one word in one country can mean many things. But okay, should we? Oh, I have you heard of like Elon Musk son's name?
I think Elon. Here's the thing about Elon Musk. He's always the guy who does something. He wants to be like, a status of everything. But actually, I don't think it's a good idea, man. Imagine this kid going to school
Yeah.
and their teacher being like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, exactly. And well, I actually have found like a place where he said like how to pronounce his son's name, and he said it's XAsh A12. Like, who in the world put a number in their child's name?
Do you think the child will be proud that he got this name?
I'm not sure,
Of course.
but like, I believe like Elon and his wife like put a lot of things that they love in the kid's name, including like the plane they love.
Excuse me, do you have anything like that? Imagine how rich you must be to have a plane, your favorite plane.
As your as your kid's name.
Yeah, that's not something that you can have. It's not like, child, when you introduce yourself to me, Proud, what is your favorite plane? Imagine that. Normal people only have favorite colors. No, no. Favorite? What's next? Favorite spaceship?
He is like
What?
multi-billionaire, so I don't know. His life might be different from us.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so why don't we move on to the next game? Or do you have anything else to add about Elon's sons?
No, no, no. I think it's quite interesting. Oh, and I found like multiple stories about people with like A B C D E spelling name, and it's actually pronounced as Absidy. And the reason why people found out that like this name exists was because I believe some staff on the airport like laughed at her name. Like she thought that her parents was so lazy to name their kids, so they were like A B C D E. There you go. But actually, it was like a legit name in certain countries, and so that staff got sued from laughing at her name.
Got sued. Oh, I think that is not a very weird phrase if you're in America. Got sued. Okay, so I think we can move on to our. So we're gonna, I think we're both familiar with this, and I think everybody is familiar with this. We're gonna tell you that our name is an abbreviation for something. That is, yeah, it's pretty simple. For example, if I'm named Bear, the B stands for bold, E stands for exotic, something along that line. Okay, so maybe I can start because, or maybe you should start because my name is very long.
Okay, I can start first. So I'll just only use my nickname. So my nickname is Proud, Proud. So P, I want it to stand for prudent. And R, I want it to stand for resolute, like determined and stuff, because I put a lot of intents on things I do. Or at least I believe so. And O, I would say I'm optimistic. Compared to compound, I'm very optimistic. And U, I want to be unique. And D is diligent.
Oh, oh, nice. Okay, so here's mine. C stands for complicated, as I would like to think, because I don't want to be basic.
Yeah,
Uh, O stands for obnoxious,
true.
obviously. M stands for, actually, I've searched this word, meritorious, deserving of praise.
Oh my god. Okay.
P, petty, definitely. O, objectionable.
Uh huh.
Everything that is said is objectionable. You, I think, understanding. At least I pretend I am.
You're quite
And
understanding.
thank you. And notorious, as I would like. Exactly. That that's why I choose that word.
Really?
But I'm not really well known anywhere, so I think that's an exaggeration. So D is like daring.
Daring.
I, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So I think that I don't think that's entirely true about me. It's just that there's this limitation of the thing called English language. So yeah, we just do this fun abbreviation game. Maybe you guys can try to do yours and send it to our email.
We're supposed to say that at the end of the podcast, but whatever. Okay.
Okay. So I think the very interesting thing about me is that I've read one book that is about bees working in the hive and the hierarchy of bees.
Mhm.
It's very interesting because it has like a lot of pieces from reality of how bees work in the hive.
Mhm.
It's not like the police movie, don't get me wrong. And every bees is named like a number,
A
with
number?
an initial.
Really?
Yeah, like A, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the initial like letter in front of their numbers represents what words or what class of society they are.
Uh-huh.
And the numbers are just like the order that they would work.
How do they know like they have names? By pheromones or something?
No, it's a fiction, so
Oh, it's a fiction. Oh, I thought you read like something scientific. Okay.
well, it has a chunk of scientific knowledge in it.
Okay.
Not entirely.
Sure. Uh-huh.
So do you think that there's a chance that we are going to like give names to people like that?
I don't think so because it's not convenient, like we've discussed about Elon's son. Like usually names have some meaning, like our names have meaning, like to at least describe the personality, but well, you can say that names are like you were pre-named before anyone even know your personality. So I believe that like we associate name people face with name and name with like the characteristic of that name or whatever, but we don't associate numbers with anything, so it might be harder for us to remember.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the number system is quite inconvenient because there's too many syllables in the name, right?
True.
We prefer to be short. Do you remember that guy from a video who says, "My name is Foot"?
Oh, that is actually like a joke, right? His name is not
Yeah,
actually that.
but it's an example of saying if your name is super long, then it's not convenient and the society won't
Use
think
it.
it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I think as well there's like interesting aspects of names that could be discussed about, which is in the movie Matrix, right? The AI in the movie was called. I remember that there's one called the Architect and another called the Oracle. So they're basically called after what they do. So do you think that there will be chances that they're called after what they do? Like for example, Master, Doctor, or anything like that?
People already use that, like doctor something something. I believe we have already done that, but like people have so many roles and responsibilities. Like we call our dads. We don't normally call our parents by their name.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, it would be hard if we don't have like nicknames or other names and solely call them like because of their um, roles and responsibilities.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but also I've heard that there's like some times in history that people call slaves after their own master. For example, they don't call them their
What?
names like Rose or Mary or anything. They just call the boss name. And when they really encounter the boss, they added some title to the boss like Luke, Michael,
Really?
or
Oh my god.
Rorschach.
That's so weird.
I don't know which time or which part. I'll look it up.
I think it's too weird to be like to have your servant named after you. If you say like compound and all your servants' name are compound, who is going to
I
respond?
don't think I don't think it's exactly that. I mean, in the sense that servants don't have names and they're only called after their master. For example, like it's not entirely like compound, but it's more like compounds with apostrophe s.
All compounds. But still, like if you have 10 servants and you like walk like you were surrounded by them and you were like compounds, give me some water, everyone is going to respond, right?
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe that.
It's not
Yeah,
very
that's something.
effective. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have like sorry. So this is not like really related to names, but I've come up with these problems yesterday. I'll just I think I should bring it up this episode, or else I don't think any other episode will be suitable. So I'll call it Proud's Plant Problems. So it's from my observation because I love plants, and many people usually ask me, like, Proud, how many plants do you have? And I would always hesitate to answer right away because it's tricky, and here's why. Well, maybe we should start off with some simple question. So, when it's like gigantic trees, like for example, pluminaria in front of my house, Lilavadi, they are gigantic. You can point out and say that, oh, that is one tree, right? So, what if there's a parasitic plant on that tree? So, that plant has to rely on the tree's nutrients because their roots, their parasitic roots, has to duck into the tree's phloem and stuff. So if the trees die, this parasitic plants die as well. Does it mean that these two plants are the same and they are one life? What do you think?
I don't think so. I think that there are two plants. But when people ask you how many plants do you have, you gotta ask them intentionally. And if they say yes, you answer one. And if they say no, you answer two. Because you didn't intend to have that parasitic plant, right?
True. Yeah. And I do agree that there are two plants. Like, for example, like it is quite comparable to the relationship between dogs and flea. So if the flea goes away, the dog is still there. It could still live. So I would say, yes, there are different lives and they are different species. So it's easier to say that, no, they're not the same plant. So let's escalate it a little bit. So if leaves fall from a tree, so that leaves still part of the tree or not? Do you think that leaves is still part of the tree?
No, not really.
No? Okay. So here's when it's so I have this plant called Pothos, Purang, and usually you might think that plants have to come from seeds. It's like the default thing that, oh, all plants have to have seeds and stuff, right? But for pothos, it is very rare for them to reproduce using seeds. They reproduce by, I would say, sprouting roots from their leaves. So, in order to propagate them, you have to snip their leaves out and put those leaves in water. So, if those leaves aren't in water, they will die and they'll be like typical trees falling from there will be typical leaves falling from trees, right? And they will just die and there will be just leaves. And but if they are in water, they could become a new plant. So here's my question. When would you say that like this plant is not the same plant as before? Or so I snipped some of the leaves out and put it in water. Does that mean like other leaves from the same plant is the same thing as the mother plant, and are the leaves that are individually cut out the same?
Or can you repeat like the last part of the question again?
Okay, so I snip out some leaves from the plant, right? You say like they are not part of the mother plant anymore from like the last question, but I'm asking whether these snipped leaves are the same. Like, are they one lives? If I put them in the same container, in the same jar.
Oh, I don't think they're one entity or one thing, whether it falls out from smaller plants per se. Because you see, for example, it's basically like you having a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have a child, you propel something out of your body, and you create new things, new lives. But when you have two child, they're different. They're not one entity.
That's true. So I have like this is like even more difficult. When you are pregnant, usually count that as two lives, right? So if a plant have multiple seeds, does it mean that they have multiple lives in like the whole system? Like if they have fruits, does it mean that that count is like more lives? Because when you say for women who are pregnant, you say like, oh, she has two lives there.
I think it's very difficult. It depends on how you define life, because life in plants and life in human um, has a very difficult way of defining it, right? So when you want to define a life of a plant, I would say it's like the ability to survive on its own.
Yeah.
I don't entirely mean on its own, because plants need a lot of things to survive, right? But to survive on its own without other plants, and when it's still a seed, when it's still a seed, it needs a lot of preparation and going into a sprout,
True.
which does not occur on the modern plant.
Yeah, I exactly agree. I do agree. And there's a plant called ความตายไงเป็น the I would say younglings sprout from the mother's leaf, sort of. And basically, so they're basically like tiny plants. Do you think that like from ความตายไงเป็น do you think that those will count as like, because their relationship like are almost the same, like babies, like human babies, in that they have to rely on their mother, but if they slip out of their mother, they have the potential to like be a new plant right away.
I think it's very difficult to define combine. But I think that when it's grouped together as like one chunk,
One
that's
chunk.
one. Like the jump rate, then it's two.
Yeah, it's fair.
Because I think that you could say that in human's body there's so many parasites,
Yeah.
but you don't actually want to count them.
Oh.
So, but when you separate one of them from us, yeah, count two. But we know that there's a lot more lives inside our body than there are, so we don't want to define it, or we don't want other people to wear like goggles and say, hello, 1,000 other species inside.
Okay, that is a very great argument, and I totally agree with that. I mean, the reason why I have these questions is just because, well, I know that people won't spend their time trying to define like what is life and what is not life, or how many lives are there. But like from my like observation, it is quite strange because, well, as I've said, I snip out individual leaves, right? Initially, I was going to like propagate them like separately, but then I find it hard when I have to like replace the water. So I group them together, and now I'm confused because initially I'm taking care of like them individually, and I call them like each plant. I have like 5 plants, for example, but when I group them together, I have to take care of them once. Like I have to replace the water once, and I was like, does that mean that my plants reduced to one plant?
No, it's basically like when you have when you have the relative, and the relative has a baby, and you also have a baby. You take care of them separately, but when you send them to the same nursery homes, basically kind of feel like you're taking care of them easier in a nursery home or in one place.
Then should I tell my friends that I have 5 plants or I have 1 plant?
But I think have your plants grow yet.
Yeah. And
You just tell your friend, don't mind, mind your own business.
oh my god. Okay. And here's the reason why I'm asking you like whether I should call it 1 plant, because I honestly cannot remember like how many plants I put in there. But like there are multiple of them.
There's a very good thing that you can use in the thing called English language. You can tell them I have many plants, more than plants in your garden.
Oh my god, that's a shade. Okay. But yeah. Okay, thanks. But I think it's a very nice discussion, and I feel like, well, It's some silly problems, but I find it interesting.
See, if you name each of the plants differently, for example, this plant is Marcus, this plant is Wilson, you won't get them in the same pot or in the same container and get confused. Because when you give name to something, they pretty much give it significance.
What if I give names to leaves?
It means I think that you care and some limit to give names to something.
Okay,
Right?
sure.
If you give name to the rock, normally people won't hit rocks name to the rocks to make it more specific to them, make it more something
Significant.
Yeah.
It's like you won't name your arms or your legs. I believe. You have.
Some people do,
Really?
but I'm not one of them.
Okay. Oh. But I think it's strange. Like names are strange. We name something, but we name things to certain limitation. We don't just name our eyes, our ears. Like, oh, hello, Wilson. Oh, my. We, wait, but we already have name for these parts. So I believe, like, universally, well, we don't. I believe that the reason why we don't give name to, like, our body part because it already has its name.
True. Well, I think we give name to distinguish one another. Easily, so a very good way to distinguish one another is like you choose the word which is not very difficult to pronounce. Not too many syllables in one word. It doesn't have to be any bad meanings or something like that.
Yeah. And, like, so I'm asking you again, just to, like, out of curiosity, like, do you really think that, like, because you want to study in Germany, will you change your nickname?
Actually, this is, I don't know. I actually don't know because I feel like if I change my nickname, my parents might be.
Angry? But they wouldn't know that, right? Oh no, she's listening to this podcast.
I think that I like my name, don't get me wrong, but maybe I'll use body size because it's like representative. It's representative of my country.
But I think if you were to have like close friend, like at the end of the day, I think they'll know your nickname. At the end of the day, I mean,
yeah, but they won't call it if it's too hard.
it's compound.
Or maybe
Maybe.
I won't have any close friends.
Oh my god, no! Don't be pessimistic. Maybe you'll be called something like Wawa or something.
I actually don't know. That sounds honestly bad. Wow, it sounds like a dog.
Chihuahua.
Okay, I'll figure it out soon since I got accepted into the university.
Because I think that is even harder from. Okay.
Then deciding, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so any notes you would like to or anything else you would add?
What is the question you want to ask the listener again?
Oh, can you send me like your abbreviation of your name? For example, like fair, bold, exotic, arrogant, terrible. I don't know. Send something along this line to our emails. It would be fantastic to see what you guys think of yourself.
And you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. It's all Let's Talk Stupid. And you can send us your answers to Let's Talk Stupid. That's stupid at gmail.com.
I think that is all for today. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
See you.